record here. So let me know if you can hear me. There's also a chat in the event you can hear me. The chat is here. So yeah, this is the fun part. Because I know I'm transmitting. Connie and I have had some discussion. So I know you probably can hear me. If you're on the phone, the chat is going to blink at you. It's going to have like a little chat bubble with a little number there. You click on that and it'll show the chat. If you're on a desktop, it should be pretty obvious because it'll say chat. And if you're trying to talk, I can't hear you. And you don't have a volume indicator, so it may not be configured, or you may be muted, but it doesn't show you're muted. So. Oh, there you are. I can hear movement. Okay. How are you doing? You've had some big moments, and you've been on my mind, so I want to see how you're doing. And I can hear you, so you don't have to type. If you want to talk, you can do that too.
I just wanted to listen. I'm eating.
Oh, eating. What are you eating?
Potatoes.
Yeah, I just got back from a little brunch. Had a little hot chocolate. Had my banana. Try to eat, quote unquote, healthy, right? So, yeah, live mentoring is a place where, like this week, you're moving into week 2. This actually fits really well with what you're going into, because part of what's emerging for you is this experience of all these feelings and all these memories. And week 2 is about validating all of that. Because, what you're beginning to discover is you've gone through a period of what's called gaslighting. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah, reality distortion.
Yeah, being made to feel crazy. And that anger that's come up for you is a signal of that. You're beginning to realize that, wait a minute, it wasn't this way, it was that way. And it's also that the anger is a really positive indicator of becoming separate, or what's called differentiated or individuated from the experience. You're going, I feel this way about your behavior. That's you psychologically separating from the other individual, which is a big deal for us codependents, because we've been so enmeshed in their identity, their feelings, what they want. Now we're beginning that separation. So you're beginning to honor and acknowledge your experience, your feelings about that. And that matters, because your feelings about it matter. Your recall matters. They're real, valid experiences. And week 2 is all about getting you that validation, allowing you to go, this really did happen, and this is how I really feel about it. Rather than trying to make it better, or trying to forgive, or trying to fix it to please them, you get to stand with you. So I think you'll find some comfort and some validation and growth with this week's work for you. That's a big, big deal. So yeah, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. My problem is, I read a lot about psychology and how it works and or could work, and the knowledge of psychology and my feelings are, they're equal. And my problem is that I can't remember what happened in my childhood.
Right.
And I cannot say a memory because I don't have it. Mm-hmm. But if someone asked me, how was your childhood? I would have said normal. Right. Kind of So what's my problem is what's coming up and the emotions. I mean, the pain I feel, that's real, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't see where it comes from
Right.
because I can't remember. Like,
Yeah.
I understand it psychological and
Intellectual. Yeah.
but I'm not getting to the reality what happened or what I experienced when I was a child or
Right.
something like this.
You in one of your comments, you mentioned you saw yourself as a young child being told certain things. You could see this happening. That is likely a memory. That's not just you visualizing it. That you might be observing that happening to you, which means you have likely a little what's called dissociation going on. Um, but that is a positive signal. It's a positive sign. It's like, oh, this is what I see happening. And as you continue to connect with your emotions, you will get that connected sense of like memory coming. It's not that it's been repressed. It's that it's been in a way forgotten, because the brain, when we're in fight or flight, freeze or fawn mode, when our brain's triggered into danger, it truncates memory. It shuts down long-term memory access, and it so that your short-term doesn't write to the long-term memory. And so we have these foggy somatic or felt sense memories. They don't really have a real clear vision to them, but we feel it. So like you're saying, like, I feel the emotions, but I don't have a cognitive memory to connect it to, right? That's normal for what you've gone through, but you'll actually find memories showing up the more your brain begins to relax. So as you use like the calming techniques, the regulation techniques out of calm, or even you'll start learning what's called thought observation in week 2. That's going to help you begin to make space for those memories to show up. So if you have anxiety or pressure to remember, you can let that go for a little bit and let memory show up for you, because it will. I went through a similar thing with there's a period between the age of 4 and the age of 7 in my life where there wasn't a whole lot of anything I recall. And so when I was going through my own therapy, there were these bursts of memory. I'm like, oh, well, no wonder I don't want to recall that. That was pretty shitty. And then this, and sometimes I don't even know if it was a memory, but I would go and I'd validate it with certain individuals if I could. Like there was a memory where I distinctly remember when it showed up, I was being picked up by this man, because I was a pretty tiny kid, and this guy picked me up and he just started going to town on me, and it just showed up. I'm like, oh, what is this? And then I could remember a word, and it was a name, and it was this guy's name. And so I went and I did some research, and my mother's dead, so I can't ask her. My father's he has paranoid schizophrenia and dementia, so asking him from what happened 30 years ago isn't going to really work. But there were family members that would know if this person was real. So I asked them. I said, is this person? And they're like, yeah, he was kind of an asshole. He did these. I'm like, oh. So I validated that the memory was very probable. So I went with it. Another thing to do is, even if something shows up and you're not sure it's real, honor the feelings anyway. Give them that space, because you don't need to gaslight yourself. So what really is important is the emotional experience, because trauma is somatic. It's body-based. It's not, we don't have to fix the memory. We need to move through the physical experience the body was stuck in at that time in order to get closure with it. So, but I think as you give more space, you'll get more memory.
Yeah, it's quite new to see me and to describe me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's like,
the, I have the psychological explanations for everything for myself. I see my whole life totally clear now, and the things are coming, and
yep.
they you know.
Yep.
But yeah.
Now you're making the connection, and you're discovering how you know your shit basically. You know what's going on, but now you're going through that tactile, felt sense experience, that body experience of actually healing, and yeah, it's an awakening, and it's a little terrifying, but it's also really liberating too. And but yeah, we're here to support you because you've had some big realizations. You've made some real contact lately, and that's really good. And it's big. That deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated. You let yourself go there. You let yourself make contact, and that's you validating your experience. So I think you'll get a lot of value out of week 2 with that, because what happened was real, and you feel those feelings for a reason. They're not just there for the fun of it. They're there because of what happened, and that's where your memory will clarify a bit. So.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I feel I can trust my feelings, and I was in a lot of fear as a child. Maybe I can remember just a picture of my mother as a raging human dragon, you know.
Yeah.
Raging with anger, and maybe I was so in fear of destruction, or and she had this more often than one time. That's just one thing. It feels totally real, and it's the right way to go. I know this. I know this from my heart, from my understanding.
Right. It feels tangible. Like,
yeah,
this is, trust that, because that's real. And it's also normal to have that question in the back of your mind. Is that real? Did that happen? Because we're sane.
Yeah, that's my mind, you know. My mind is always going into denial mode, and hey, you had a happy childhood.
Yeah.
What's your problem now?
Right. And it's like, well, no. And that's the gaslighting we got. Part of that is these messages we always received in opposition or in contradiction to what was going on. Like my dad, all the time, man, we have it good. We have a house, and we have food, and we have water, and we have electricity. You should be grateful. And then they go fight and yell at each other, and then come accuse us of crazy things and, gaslight our emotions. And so my parents, to this day, my stepmother and father, are perplexed as to why I don't think we had a great childhood. I'm like, no, you did what's called bare minimum parenting, Dad. You didn't give any space to emotion.
Yeah, no emotion, totally suppressed.
Yeah.
And everybody, and no love,
no play, no affection, and
no
humor.
That I remember. On New Year's Day this year, a female colleague in work, she just hugged me, and I went home and I totally collapsed, because this was so much love she gave me. And I really have to state it, that there was nothing in my childhood, nothing. And a stranger is hugging me, and I have a nervous breakdown, because I felt she she hugged me with good intention. Yeah, she really meant it, and have a good year and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was true, you know.
Yeah.
She was a true person, a real person,
Right.
and I felt her. Yeah.
Well, I can totally relate. It's bizarre because it's like this weird wake up call. Like, that's what love is. I didn't get that. it's I had this profound experience last summer. I was out for a walk with a friend of mine, and she was asking me about some things about my childhood. I grew up in a town called Flagstaff. It's in Arizona here in the States, and that's a very important place to me because it was the last place I ever felt like was home. And it was also the place where my mother passed away. So there's a lot of meaning for me there. And she asked me a question about it. I remark on it, and she takes this moment. She looks at me and she's like, that's a very important place. Flagstaff means a lot to you, doesn't it? And now people have said that to me before, but there was an energy and an intent she stated that with that still strikes me today. And I just I had that same aha moment. Here's this person who knows me a bit. Why could my parents do that? Why is it that some person 30 years later can identify this, but not your own parents? And I've had some tears over it because it really moves you when someone genuinely cares. We feel that because it's an energy, and we know that it's a nonverbal communication. And we knew as kids, our parents weren't giving us that kind of energy. I mean, even if they did hug us, there was always some sort of cost or attachment, some string they attached to it. So here's your hug. Didn't I do a good job? It's like, what? So what you're experiencing there is really normal and profound because you're opening up to it and you're seeing that. So that's awesome. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's the really grace for our generation that we can try to see us, and the psychology. Both my parents were born in the Second World War as children, and of course they're traumatized
Yeah.
to the edge, yeah, and they never had a chance to solve it because they had to build up the country, and getting food for the day was a struggle,
Right.
to survive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not about blaming them. Of course, I'm angry toward my mother, and that's all right because it came from her, but it was out of intention, I think. I hope.
Yeah, I'm not one that buys into the notion of deliberate intent with the dysfunction that comes in with narcissistic or abusive people, unless they're a psychopath or truly sociopathic, and they have to be diagnosed for me to go that direction. Majority of people and their toxic behaviors are a result of their own dysfunction, their own pain. And so, and I say that with a lot of caution because while it might explain, what's going on, it doesn't entitle them to absolution. They don't get to be excused for their behaviors. We can still be angry with them. So, and you actually have, it sounds like from what you were describing, there's actually a pretty balanced point of view. You're giving yourself permission to remain angry, but you also understand the context that has influenced.
Yeah, I don't want to blame her. That's not,
It's not useful.
She has her own wounds and never had the chance to get healthy.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to blame her. There's a difference between accountability and blame. Blame says, you made me feel this way. But accountability says, I don't like when you treat me this way. it hurts when you do this. That's different, because now we're saying I own my feeling, which is the hurt, and you own your behavior, which is whatever you did. And that's a reasonable balance, because it gives them something to look at and change, and it gives us self accountability, and we stand up for ourselves, self advocacy. So that's blame's we all go through it, but it's a milestone on the path. It's not a hotel we should stay at on our journey very long. But a validation, though, continue to validate your emotions because they matter. They're real. And despite her past, you still were hurt, and she could still learn to do better if she would choose to. And so, yeah, that's okay.
It's not about her, it's about me now. And
yep.
That's a really really strange experience with my feelings, with my emotions.
Right.
You know,
it's weird not to be concerned about them, huh? It's like, no, I feel this way.
And my story is, I was in love 1.5 years ago with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
I would say she was the most narcissistic woman I fell in love.
Mm.
You know, that's my trigger.
Right. Yep.
And it's the magnet syndrome.
Yep.
And whole my life, it was getting stronger and stronger, and she was too much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to. In the end, she accused me being the narcissist, and then she was gone.
Yeah, total discard. Poof.
And okay, so I googled narcissist and blah blah blah, everything I read, and of course I asked myself, is she right? No, she was just, you know, your whole life you have to walk against the wall. Mm-hmm. Until you learn the lesson, and the wall is always getting harder.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And she was just the point, oh, I have to look at myself. Yep. And who am I? I don't know. That's my explanation.
No, it's the common path. And the fact that you took the time to check in and say, am I a narcissist? Fundamentally proves you're not, because a narcissist will never ask that question, because there's nothing wrong with them. But it also, you know, you're right. There's this pattern in life when we have our map, you know, this encoding that says this person is where love is, and that's where we meet the narcissist. And when we respect the difficulty and we go, wow, I need to change. I need to look at what's going on, and I need to figure out what's going on. That's what breaks us free. And that's a huge amount of, or massive act of courage to go, whoa, I need to look at it. Even though her claim you're a narcissist is, you know, total BS, it's, oh, but there is something I'm doing that creates this, so I need to take accountability for that. And that guarantees, if you maintain that path, you'll be able to smoke out a narc real quick, but you'll also begin to detect loving people, because you're going to see the difference in behavior and energy. You're also going to notice that maybe when you have a real strong attraction to somebody, the more conscious you're aware of your body's energy, you're going to begin to understand why you're attracted to them. Am I attracted to them because they're going to make me feel better about me, some sort of validation about my worth, which is where we are attracted to narcs? Or am I attracted to them because they're loving and kind? Because there's very different energy. One's intense and the other one's nurturing and nourishing and beautiful. It's really safe, not comfortable. Because I tell you, I've been with a lot of safe people in relationships that wasn't comfortable because it was so outside the norm. But yeah, what you're touching on there, yeah, it's a common journey, and here you are. you're taking responsibility and kicking some
Yeah.
butt.
Besides all the pain she did to me, I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It, and I don't know nothing. You know, what is love? I don't know. All
Right.
my life, I I related to people where the emotional wounds from our childhood fit together.
Hmm.
It's, you know, totally unconscious and just by programming.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And I think we have an idea of what love feels like to a degree, but we don't know what safety in love feels like. We don't know what intimacy in love feels like. We just know what attraction in love feels like. And as you heal, as you grow, you're going to discover that. I mean, that moment you had earlier this year at New Year's with that lady and that hug and that connection there, that's a hint. That's an experience of love. May not be like romantic love or passionate love or sexual love but it sounds like platonic love, like someone cared about you as a person. And that you're going to get more of those experiences as you open up. So it's you will find the answer to that question, what is love, what does it feel like, as you experiment, as you heal, because it'll show up. For me, physically, it's a very warm, very calm sensation. And that's a huge contrast to what I thought love was, because previous to understanding for me, love was intense. It was actually adrenaline, because I was always used to chasing my mom and avoiding my father. So it was always anxiety driven. But real love, I've discovered, is very calm, very safe, and sometimes really uncomfortable because I'm not used to that all the time, right? So, but keep exploring.
Sure, and it's a very beautiful journey now. You know, it's the biggest thing in my whole life I'm going through, and the most real thing, and I totally embrace it.
Right.
I don't know
I'm
where.
grateful you're here. You get to share this with us. I mean, it's always a privilege to watch this happen. And I love how you say that it's real, because it really is. It's genuine, right? It's like, It's like when you're eating a piece of bread that's actually real bread and not some, processed thing from the store. It's just like, oh, this is authentic.
Yeah, or like eating a bread in a dream, and suddenly you wake up and you get real bread.
Yeah, it's actually nourishing and filling. You're like, oh.
And I think what was my life for 40 years? I don't know, running behind ideas, society says how to behave, you know, get married, have children, get a job, and be happy. But maybe I wasn't happy. But
I hear you.
you know, it's very spiritual and philosophical and real and so real.
Real. Yep.
By the way, can you see me or I don't know?
Nope. I just hear you. There is a camera option, but you have to manually turn it on, because I have it auto disabled, because most people don't want to be seen. So I'm you give your consent to be seen by pushing the button.
I don't know how this works.
Are you on a PC or are you on a phone?
Okay, doesn't matter. Well, just curious.
Oh, okay. Because there's different modes, but I suspect you can probably see me, and you can see the class title, the live mentoring graphic.
I can see you, yeah.
But yeah, me and my little studio here, me with gray hair everywhere. But yeah, it's very real. It's much like waking up out of a dream and then going, oh, this is what it really tastes like. You're going to get a lot more of that. And this is where we really become alive, and we become a little like Spider-Man. We get a spidey sense where we can begin to read people's energy and like trust it. Like, like that's not that's a little off for me, but this over here is really on for me. And we start going towards what's on, and we learn how to discern between healthy and unhealthy people based on behavior and based on their energy. So the world can become safe, because it really is safe. The world's largely just a very boring place doing a lot of boring things. Because of our trauma, we thought it was dangerous, but the more and more you get out of that, you'll see that it's pretty safe.
It's just, I'm not bored. If I'm connected to myself, and if I feel, you know, I can look outside of my window, and it's just great. You know,
Right.
just doesn't matter what I'm doing. I don't have to seek thrill or. It's, I'm happy to be.
Yeah. You're not out there medicating it or trying to make it happen, trying to feel something. It's like, oh, it's a beautiful day, or oh, it's raining again, or you know, whatever's going on. And you get to, it's a real presence, it's a real mindfulness about that reality. Nope. You're well on your way to a lot more freedom. You should keep trusting what comes up for you as you do the work, as you do the processes and heal. And everything you've learned will just fall quicker and quicker into place, because all that knowledge you've amassed is valuable. Now I get the emotions in alignment so that knowledge can help you change the behaviors and the insights. It all just kind of goes together. So you're doing a good job. What time is it there? You're in Germany.
I'm in Germany, yeah.
So is it 10:41 or 22:41?
Yeah.
That's a little late for you. I appreciate you showing up though, because you've definitely been on my mind, especially since the discussion we had in group and stuff. I was hoping you'd show up so I could check in on you, see how you're doing there. That's a biggie. I have some family over there. They live in they're at one of the U.S. bases there in Frankfurt. My sister-in-law is Army medic there, so my brother's over there right now, and it's fun to watch what they're learning and what they're gaining there. My family, the Birchers, are from Berlin, from way like 1600s. So there's family history there. He's going in and looking at stuff, so that's kind of cool. So,
you have been to Germany one day?
I have not yet. It's on my bucket list. That in the Ukraine, I'd like to go take a tour of Chernobyl. So me and my crazies, because I like disasters. So yeah, that's one. Be cool. Yeah, I'd like to go to Germany to get to know, explore the country and see the history there, and just kind of find my own roots there. It's a lot of family history from back there. So, yeah.
I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
As I seeing my family falling apart in a kind of way, in dysfunctional roles, and I thought also about which role I had to play as a child.
Right.
Childhood roles in dysfunctional families.
Right.
And I would say I'm the scapegoat or the caretaker kind of mix.
Right.
And I have a brother. He's 1.5 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I should talk about him, if I should talk with him about all my thoughts and experiences. And I don't know.
Has he brought up things?
Yeah, his wife is a psychologist, and I talked to her in the beginning when all this started, when my confusion was very great.
Right.
And one evening also my brother was included. but it's going so fast in my life now. You know, the change and what's happening and my thoughts, and it's really fast. And I don't know if I have the right to break into his happy family life and say, "Wow, brother, look, my mother, our mother, maybe she wasn't that good, and maybe you have the role of the golden child, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't know."
Yeah, that what I did. So this is how actually I woke up. So it'll give you a model of what to look for. My sister was the scapegoat. She was also the whore. So my stepmother and father made her into a terrible, terrible person, and then kicked her out on, made her homeless at the age of 17, Christmas Eve in 1998. So years later, my ex-wife and I are going through a divorce. So I move in with my parents because I'm naive. I think my parents give a shit about me. And so they, as they put it, allow me to stay with them for a little bit. And like a parent would, a loving parent's going to allow you to come home. So I went and visited her during that period of time, and I was voicing to her some of the things going on. And she's like, I just want you to know I love you, Marshall. And our parents are going to do something that it's going to wake you up, and I promise it's going to happen. And the only reason she's saying this to me is because I'm like, Karen and Dad are doing some really weird shit. They're doing this to me and they're saying these things. She's like, yes, these are problems. And I want you to understand I'm here for you if something goes down, but here's what's likely going to happen. They're going to make a story up about you and they're going to kick you out. And they did. They did it a week later. You made me homeless for a period of time. And that was the moment where I decided I needed to figure out what was happening. And and it wasn't because she told me what was happening. She just said, I see what's going on because you are bringing up these concerns, Marshall. Here's what something is going to happen. And then I could trust her because I didn't trust her. And because you're the scapegoat, your brother is going to he's going to be told these things by your mom. This is going to be it's been a dialogue for a long time, I imagine. So him trusting you is key, which means let him come to you because he'll wake up. I was the golden child. I could do no wrong, but I also could do no right. So I was, evil too. But it took them doing some very violent things to me to wake up. But Daisy was there, my sister was there, and she made it safe because she didn't push the issue. She just said, hey, if this happens, I'm here. And that happened, and voila, I woke up. I mean, it was very akin to what you shared in the group. I'm like, holy mother of God, this is going on. It was really intense. So I would recommend letting him come to you because when you push it, his defense mechanism, especially golden children like to defend the parent. That's why they're the golden child, because the parent uses them as a shield. And they reward the child for that defense by making them idealized, perfect in their eyes. So I would recommend letting him come to you.
Yeah, it's just I had a talk with my mother a week ago or something
Mm-hmm.
for 1 or 2 hours, and I put all my anger. I articulated all my anger, and I cried on the phone, and that is a really big deal for me.
It's huge.
I didn't have a voice until 6 months ago. I didn't have a voice. I was so shy and shut down.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I can talk about everything now and so open and almost without fear. And yeah, I had a long talk with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have close relationships, but
Right.
we meet. I don't know. Sometimes every 3 months, going to a dinner, to a restaurant, all together. My brother, my mother, and me. And I don't know if I want contact to my mother right now.
Mhm.
Physical contact and seeing her in reality. So if I decide I don't want this, I have to explain it to my brother also.
Mhm.
So I have to tell him a little bit at least.
There's a couple of ways to approach this. But first of all, your desire not to have more contact with your mother is valid. It's okay to want that. A lot of people feel guilty about it or scared about that being a wrong decision, or they're selfish or something. So I just want to validate that no, that's really normal. Going no contact, getting space, and doing it on your terms, totally valid. So that's okay. Now, there's a couple ways you can communicate it to them. You can say, brother, I've come to some conclusions for myself where I need some space from mom for a little um, while I deal with what I'm aware of.
Mm,
And the reason I'm being general in this example is there's something that's going to happen when you go no contact. Um, there'll be a period of silence, and then you're going to get love bombed, or you're going to get unwanted contact that's going to attempt to manipulate you to respond. And she will probably try that directly, and then she will triangulate through your brother. And narcissists need supply, and part of that supply is information. And the more general you are, it's called gray rocking. You're very boring. There's nothing going. Life is fine. It's great, and that's it. That's the only response you give. It'll escalate. They'll go intense, and then they'll go silent, and then it'll do it again, and they'll go silent. But the more consistent you are with the information, the boring, blasé information to your brother, the less supply your mother has to manipulate with.
yeah,
So you gotta be really, really mindful about what you communicate, because sensitive how you feel, any emotion, and any very clear reason you give is going to be used as ammunition at some point. And I'm also assuming the level of narcissism that's going on there. But like for my parents, I mean, they find out that I put money. I own a little classic muscle car. I put money into that. They find out. I get all sorts of weird shit from them. Well, why you put money in the car? Oh, I haven't talked to you in 3 years. Well, why don't you send us money? I'm not talking. I'm not even responding them to it. But they're like, well, that's really weird. Why is he doing that? It's whatever they need to try to get a reaction out of me, because that's her job. Her goal is supply. You're the supply. It doesn't matter what you react to. It matters that you reacted. So be very mindful about that. The less specific information you give, the harder it is for her to manipulate you.
I'm not afraid of manipulation. And my relationship to my mother isn't close, I would say. I mean,
Right.
almost nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is it can trigger the, that foggy, buzzy, numb response your body has given you in the past when your mother got angry with you, or you did something and they didn't like it. That response can actually put you back into the pattern of trying to fix. And right now you've got a lot of cognizance, a lot of clarity, and that's not necessarily going to go away, but it can be diminished because your body goes into freeze. It's like, gong, oh, what's happening? And that's why, even though you don't have closeness, I mean, I didn't have closeness with my parents. I wasn't bonded to them. It was really it was that impact, it was that traumatic flashback that got me back into communicating with them, because that was the programming. Programming was make them feel better. And until I was conscious of that response, I would react that way. So I'm giving you some tips that actually hedge you against that reactivity, because it can startle you. And we'll find out what it does, because it may not affect you at all that way, but it's extremely common. And over the last 10 years of helping people with this, it is the number one thing people do. Very few clients are like, yeah, they contacted me and I walked away. Most of them are like, I'm feeling really sick. Like I'm nauseous, or I'm buzzy, or I'm triggered in a deep way. And so I just want you to be mindful of that, because a lot of times we try to fix it because that's what the programming says. So, yeah, be conscious of that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, good question though. So yeah, let me know what you do and when you do it, and we'll be there. We'll support you.
It's not that there is a meeting ahead, but one day it will, and I have to make a decision then.
Yep. Yeah, that's on target.
My feelings will show me the right way.
They will. Trust your emotions. They matter. And you're on target. You're kicking some butt there. That's who we are is the experience in our body, it's of our emotions. People tell us, I know who I am. They're really saying, I know what I feel about things. I know what I think about them. And I can trust that. I'm going to rely on that. And
this experience is also totally weird for me, because we all grow up. You are what you think, and now the reality totally shifts, and it's more the way. Stop thinking. Thoughts are just clouds in your mind. Feelings are true.
Yeah.
And,
feelings matter, and they're contextual, and they contain a personal truth for us. And you are not your thoughts, right?
Yeah, but this is really, that's really a reality shift, and that's hard to follow.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Because the world is not what you're told all the years.
Yeah, it is like waking up and realizing that north was never really north. You're kind of like, then what the hell is north? And you actually will learn what north is for you. And it is an emotional experience. It's even a little deeper than just your emotions, because some of your emotions are programmed, right? And then some of them are genuine responses to situations. It's a little deeper in the subtle sense of our intuition. It's like, what is there? What is this about? Because we get curious. Curiosity, there's a course I teach called Thrive with my clients, and it has 10 laws, and the second law is curiosity. What is this about? Who am I in this emotion? Who am I beyond this emotion? Who am I beyond this thing or this conclusion or that thing? And that's where you really dial in you, because you're going to have this, you're already on that path where I'm not my thoughts. My emotions are real. They're genuine. They're true. They really relate to what's going on. And then in that, as you explore those, you begin to tap into an intuition, into this felt sense of, that this works for me. I can do this. This makes sense. And over here, not so much. This isn't what I need right now. And so, hi, Lori. And so that's where you're going. And it's so cool, because the world even gets more real. And you just realize that north for you is all that matters, because somebody else's north may be pointing to your west. That means you don't fit, you don't have compatibility. Oh, which is such a relief. You don't have to fit in anymore. And other people can just be people, and you can be the people too, and just go about your life. I like my chocolate this way, and you just go do it, you know?
Yeah. It's a really a big relief and totally relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Not a state of fear anymore. You're not trying to figure out what people want or what's going to piss them off or what's going to, avoid the consequence or the conflict. Oh man, how much time we put into that. Just, yeah, no, you're on it.
Yeah, thank you for your program, and I'm curious what you will bring up the next 10 weeks.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have some fun. I'm week 2 is so in line with where you're at. Validating your feelings, because you're gonna validate your feelings, your emotions, or your experiences, and then your wants and needs. Because we're gaslit in all 4 of those areas. We're made to feel great, like I shouldn't need love. I shouldn't need attention. That's a huge one. We shouldn't need presents, not like Christmas presents or something, like a person being present in our space, um, we shouldn't need those things. We should be strong and independent, but those are really important needs because they're forms of affection. They're forms of intimacy. And yeah. And then a week three can be a little bumpy for people. It's loving accountability, but I think you'll do just fine there because that's about power retrieval. You're no longer depending on somebody else to validate your power. You can make your choices. And then week 4 is more about belonging. Week 5 is where we get into the deep work with the love wound. I am lovable. Will somebody love me? And then will somebody want my love? So, because that's week 5, 6, and 7 there. But,
Don't talk too much.
Right.
I want to be surprised.
Oh, you'll get surprised. So for everybody that's gone through it, there's always 1 or 2 weeks that really make it for them. And then the rest of them are kind of like icing on the cake. And they're like, yeah, this is where it's at. So it's fun. I love the work I do, and I love my clients. I love you guys because you just, I tend to swear, but you're a bunch of badasses. You guys are doing courageous, daring things. And it's cool to be a part of it. It's always an honor. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I can take compliment now.
Yeah, own it, man. It's you. It's all yours, and you deserve it. So yeah.
Okay, Marshall, I think I have to get some sleep.
Yeah, get some rest, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Will do. Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah. Have a nice evening. Ciao.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, Lori, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah. We need to, did you get my email that I sent you?
I'd have to look and see. I know that you sent me some message about needing to download the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to do that.
I haven't achieved the second week yet.
Oh, that's fine. No, it's just making sure you have it available when you need it. Because we want to make sure it's on your PC so that you don't have to rely on the internet because it's fairly unreliable for you.
Tell me about it.
So, yeah, I just make sure you've got that. Yeah, so we'll get weeks 3, 4, and 5 this week too. Yeah, so we'll coordinate that outside of the call. But how are you doing in general? How are things going for you?
Actually, pretty good.
Good.
I've had a few moments where I was kind of having that panicky thing, and I have done the calm, and it's remarkable how fast my breathing changes, and it's not all overwhelming.
Right. Yeah. It's so simple. You just do it and it works because it's like pushing a little button on the wall. Oh, calm down. Good. I'm glad you're getting that benefit. I kind of have to arm wrestle people a little bit to try it out unless I'm like in front of them. Like, go and do it. Just find out. I don't want to do it with you. I want you to do it, and because it's so much more impactful. Like, oh yeah, it really did work. Yeah, it works. Good.
It's amazing. Right in the middle of the moment.
Yeah.
It was like, you're okay. It's okay. It just, like I said, my breathing changed, and it was like I took a tranquilizer almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a really important signal that shows up when you start regulating that response that comes afterwards, like a letdown, like that tranquilized feeling. That's what your body needs most right now. Is that. I learned that the hard way. I used to fight it, and then when I would regulate, I'd fall asleep.
Yeah, I get real tired.
Tired.
I do that anyway. But yeah.
But I fought it, and it made me more exhausted. So I said, let's do this for a month. So I took a month and I regulated. And if I fell asleep, I fell asleep. And then around it was about 40-ish days into it, the regulation stopped doing that. I'm like, I don't feel tired. I feel energized. It was weird. I got this enthusiasm. I'm like, I want to go do this now because that's what I wanted to do now. So stick with it. Kind of give in to what it needs if you can. I mean, if you're like driving the car, or you're at a public function, you don't really want to fall asleep. But if you're like at home and it makes sense, like, yeah, I could take a nap and do it, because your body, I mean, that anxiety, that's putting cortisol and epinephrine, adrenaline into your system, and that is exhausting. It's only supposed to be temporary for our bodies, and when it's chronic, we aren't resting. So, yeah, I love that it's working, because it is so simple, and man, imagine what we could have had if we just known that as a child, right? It's like, oh, I don't even have to deal with this. But yeah, how are things? How is your progress in Heal going in conjunction with your energy level and what's been going on for you?
Well, I actually have seen that. Well, for one thing, I'm not beating myself up for being tired when I'm tired.
Good.
Which is huge for me. And I'm actually leaving dirty dishes.
No. Oh. Because I know we talked about that on Tuesday. And has the world burned down?
No, it hasn't.
No. Did you die?
No, I didn't. And when I feel that sense of, oh, you need to have done this, that's when I do calm, and I'm like, boom. You don't have to do this.
No.
Have to feel this intensity of the moment.
No. Do you feel like you have a little more control?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to have a huge amount of control, but that therein is really the problem.
Yeah.
I want to control it all.
Right. But now you're getting in control of what's actually in your domain, and that is how you feel. Nope.
And I'm a little bit opening up about what I'm feeling
there we go.
in the moment versus carrying it and not expressing it, which is really huge for me.
That is huge, because you're becoming a little more vulnerable.
Yeah.
A little more unguarded, and that we both know how scary that can be.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. What have you been finding happening as you do that?
Well, basically, I've been opening up to my boyfriend, and I still get that fearfulness that he's going to want to fix something that he can't, or blame it on himself.
Right. Yeah, take it personal.
And so I try to stress that what's happening didn't have anything to do with him.
Right.
Didn't have anything to do with the circumstances. It's the inside of me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is stuff from the past and where you're at with it presently. Yeah. How's he been responding to it?
He's doing pretty good with it. He's a little bit more willing to ask questions than be afraid to, because he knows when I have barriers up.
Right. No, that's important right there. He's been willing to ask questions, and he's not fixing. That's good. And that, for men not to fix is a positive indicator that he's willing to tolerate someone else's discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that warrants a little trust there. That's pretty, kudos to him, and kudos to you for putting it on the table and see what happens.
Thank you.
Because that's oh, that's one of our biggest nerve-wracking moments there.
Absolutely. Ooh. I don't like to be vulnerable in front of anyone, and I don't like to lose control in front of anyone.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I had a moment where I had a really bad dizzy spell, and I just was sliding down the car because I couldn't step. But it was in front of other people.
Yeah.
And which is why I don't get around other people too much.
Right.
I don't want that vulnerability.
Yeah.
Or looking like that.
Right.
But I voiced it to him in the car. I said, I was on the verge of tears and just freaking out. But I was telling him that it didn't have anything to do with him. It didn't have anything. It's in me. That I'm so afraid of somebody seeing that, something I can't control.
Yeah.
Even my own body not being in control. That to me is worse than anything.
Oh yeah. It's so scary when the body does not cooperate and we have no power over it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what it's going to do.
Yep.
And we get to deal with the consequences regardless.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very frustrating position. And oh yeah.
And I don't like to be felt sorry for.
Right. The pity.
No.
Right. No, those are very valid concerns, especially when we're dealing with things that have like chronic disease and things like that. That's very normal to feel that way. And the fact you let him see that, let yourself be vulnerable in such a deep space, that really speaks to how much you do trust him and that you do love him. That's, you're putting some big stuff on the table there. And it sounds like he's receiving it well.
Yeah.
So
he over worries, but
yeah. I'd rather have a partner that over worries than one that doesn't, honestly. Because if they're not worried, if they're not concerned, there's something bigger going on.
Yep.
But yeah, you did good work. You've had some big moments for yourself this week too. Gosh, you guys are. My week was filled with like work, emails mostly this week, and then some Netflixing. So I'm proud of you guys because you're going to get to a place where life doesn't have this kind of intensity all the time, and especially as you regulate, there's going to be a time you're going to email me, you're going to show up, and you're going to say, Marshall, I had a moment in front of people, I didn't care.
I love it.
That's coming.
It sounds so far away, but I love that thought.
Every client, we all have like a big fear, 2 or 3 big fears that really keep us paralyzed. And we all face them. They are the gauntlet we go through. And when you break through, I get those things often. It's like, yeah, I just did it. And I'm a big fan of that question, but did you die? And I'm like, nope. And I kicked ass or something. They get really proud of themselves because that's what it is. We're doing big things that are scary.
Yeah. Well, I saw something on the Tonight Show or whatever it was, Jimmy Fallon, and this gentleman I actually taped it because I wanted to go back and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But he has cerebral palsy and he's a comedian. So
Wow.
he's delivering his lines, and his body is doing its own thing. I mean, his arm is flipping it over here and going over there. And
Right.
I'm watching that, and I'm like, I can do that. I can get to a place where it doesn't matter. I mean, he wasn't even fazed by his arm suddenly jumping, and you
Yeah.
know, and I was like, that is so cool.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so true. We get to be indifferent to what's going on. And we just show up as ourselves. I've been doing that a lot this week because one of like my big paralyzed fears that I've decided to deal with is social humiliation. Growing up, there was a lot of things that went down for me that way, especially regarding girls. And so I've been playing with that and putting out, because generally, I mean, I come across as really confident, secure in this environment because I am secure in this environment. I'm good at what I do. But you put me in front of an attractive woman, I'm going to be like a 3-year-old that doesn't know what to do with his hands. It's just like, oh my God. So I've been accepting that rather than trying to change it, because I've gone through some social confidence courses and stuff like that in the past, and always like, we got to change this, and it always made me frustrated. So I was kind of like in line with this comedian. I'm like, why not accept it? Why not radically accept it? Just run with it, and even run with expressions of insecurity. Just go with it. Well, it's going to be insecure. And so I was at a thing on Friday night, and I just decided to start chit-chatting with the women that were around and just kind of flirting with people that I found, maybe I'll flirt with this person, I try with that one. And one girl was just flat out just not gonna. She changed positions. She obviously she wasn't interested. So I went and I played with a couple of other people and just kind of got a feel for myself. I'm like, this is really weird just to be this way. And it really is a choice we have to consciously make. And then with like the tools, like I was using regulation all night long, I'm going to calm myself. But it gave me this interesting insight of all this programming that was telling me, you got to be this way, Marshall. And I'm like, but I'm not that. And I'm going to stop forcing it. I'm going to be whatever I am. And there was this huge amount of relief that came over me. It's like, oh, wow. Now I'm just going to do me and live it a little more loudly. And so, I share that because I'm still on the journey. A lot of times I think I put out a persona that I've got all my shit together, and that's not true. I'm on it just in different categories, and that's okay.
Spiraling up.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked, it's that circle, and I'm just revisiting this thing. I've not done a lot of work on it for years because I've been working on other things, and now it's just like, let's do it. Let's just do this. But let's take an angle rather than trying to make it what other people say it should be. Let's just embrace it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think my dorkiness will attract, what I'm really looking for. So let's go for it. Let's find out what happens. So you're going to get to do that too. We all get to. And we're not forced to. This is the really important thing. I chose this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to choose yours.
Yes.
So it's and I emphasize that because, other people are going to watch this. And a lot of us come from this angle of, I should, which means we're not choosing, we're forcing.
Right.
And when we choose, then it's voluntary because we didn't get a lot of choice in our lives, right? You didn't get a choice where you ended up, where you were born, or the people, you were homed with and stuff like that. Now we get a choice. We get a choice on the anxiety we're going to face, the challenge we're going to face.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I totally see you just remarking in group or sending me an email or something, or even coming on here like, Marshall, this is what happened and I didn't care. So it's coming. I know it. Because you guys, you're working it. And I say this a lot. The only reason things work is because you did it. Because I'm not making this change in your world. You are. You're doing the processes. You're using the tools. And that's what makes the difference here. So, good work.
I so appreciate. I just knew the answer was close by. I just didn't know until I went to Oregon and you know, actually met Dina, and then she sent me the thing. I mean, it just all just fell into place because it was time. And I didn't realize that all this crap was going to suddenly surface either.
Right.
Because I really thought I had it under control.
Oh, you did. You had it controlled, but you didn't have it. You didn't have closure with it. So it's kind of like herding cats. You put the cats in a pen and then close the pen, but now you open the pen and oh my word, there are cats went everywhere. But now we're getting rid of the cats, so you don't need a pen. Just go be free, kitties. Go do your thing. Yeah, and I mean, I like that you're just doing it at your pace. That's good job, because it's for you. It's not for anybody else.
Yes, and that's what when I take the pressure off myself and go, look, you don't have to da 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 1 2 3. You know, stop this nonsense.
Yep.
And the fact that I was doing that, you know, staying right in the same place was okay then. But you know, I almost needed to hear it was okay. I mean, I'm still in that place where
it is okay.
It's kind of like you saying it's okay to leave the dishes. It's like that thought didn't even occur to me to even think that through. But when you said it, it was like, oh yeah, I can leave a couple of things. And when I come out in the morning, I am not going to beat myself up because those 2 things are sitting there.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and do what I need to do. And I don't have to run wash them just so I can cook something to eat.
Bingo. Exactly.
So that's pretty big for me.
It is huge. It's a lot of permission too. I mean, there's an act of authority you're doing here, by the way. Rather than the dishes being the authority or the rule that says like dishes got to be in a certain state of something, you're the one saying what it's going to be. You are the authority of your life. I think in week 1 I link you to a concept called personal autonomy. If not, I'll link it there. But it's a profound concept that you have space, right? You have definition. And in that space, in that definition, you have the right to dictate what happens because it's yours. You are the authority of that space. And your dishes are part of that. Your home is part of that. Now, you live by yourself, or do you live with your boyfriend?
Well, kind of both.
Oh, okay. So you kind of move to his place sometimes, and then vice versa.
Well, two different locations. Well, he had a total shoulder replacement, so he's more here.
Gotcha.
And I think we're kind of settling into more being here.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I mean, now you get to negotiate some of those terms because it's a lifestyle blending, but I mean, it's still your autonomy. And there's 2 rights rather I want to give you, because they're not rules, they're rights. They're things where we have a right to. So they're not negotiable. And they come from personal autonomy. And I like these 2 because they always make a profound difference for people. 1, you have the right to take up space.
Right.
Yeah, and that's space in everything. Space in your feelings, space in the ice cream you want to eat, space in the money you would want to spend, make, or save, space in being, not being productive. How about that? You know, oh, I just want to sit and watch a show. Well, you get the right to take up that space. The space in being disappointed, the space of disappointing other people. That can be a biggie. The space to just be you without apology or justification or explanation. That's fun.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah. It's a challenge. But this leads you to right number 2, though. This is fun. You have the right not to care. Right? I don't have to care. I don't have to care that that person doesn't like what I just did or did not do. I don't have to fix their feelings. I don't have to make them like me, because who are they anyway? Honestly, our brains have been conditioned to make other people authorities, everybody else authorities, which is just kind of crazy. So what we have to do is we have to consciously strip them of their authority. And the way I like to look at that is, this person literally does the same things I do every day. Eat, sleep, bathroom activities, puts their pants on the same way. Unless that individual, and this is the rule I use, if that person is immortal, they're not ever going to die. If that person's immortal, then maybe I want to understand if they have some sort of real authority. But if they're going to die, what makes them special to be an authority? They're just a person.
Right.
And most people don't want to be authorities over other people. And those that do, that's a red flag. Always a red flag when somebody else wants power over a human being. So, yeah, explore that. You have the right to take up space and the right not to care.
I like that.
How's that feel to you?
Actually, I kind of took a sigh. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, your body's like, I like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when your body is smarter than your brain about a lot of things, or I would say smarter than your mind, because the brain's part of the body. But it's when your body relaxes on something, that's a positive indicator of truth for you. At least that's the way I see it. So you determine that for yourself, but that's how I use it. I'm like, oh, that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you can explore it, because I'm not a guru. I'm just a mentor, and my job here is always about you being your own authority. So go out and verify it. Go out and play with it. Find out for yourself. That's all that matters, honestly. And that's why a lot of this stuff works, because you guys are doing it, and that's all that matters. You just go out and do it. And sometimes it doesn't work for people, whatever the experiment might be, but that matters. Oh, it didn't. Let's see what would, because we learned something. I mean, we're great explorers. We're really bad knowers, and there's. Really just I suck at knowing stuff, but I'm really good at discovering it. So, but yeah, good work this week, Lori. You're doing it.
Thank you.
Keep them with it. So do you have, is there any questions or anything that came up that you want to shoot at?
Well, I think I wrote in about the triggers.
Yeah.
Is it pretty normal to want to run from being triggered?
Yeah, it is.
What on the earth? Why am I thinking that? And why am I feeling,
Nope, that's normal. Now remember, you have everybody's body has 4 responses to fear, but one of them is going to be dominant. It's be the one you do most of the time. So you have fight, so you're going to go out there and kill the thing. 2, you're going to run from it, so that's flight. 3, you're going to freeze, so you're going to play dead. 4, you're going to fawn, which is negotiate. And you've done all of these at some point.
Right.
But everybody has a dominant one.
Mine is run.
Run, yeah. And so that's why you want to run. You're just perceiving danger. So when that shows up, regulate. Just practice regulation. And you'll switch off that response. And you'll also begin to reprogram your neurology, your brain, to respond to this kind of stimulus with calmness. And so, but it's normal. I'm a runner. Honestly, I'm a freezer. I want to run, but I'm gonna freeze.
Yeah. I can relate to that, because I literally this is physically, if somebody would startle me, I'd start to pass out.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably that might be even what's frustrating for me when I start to, when the room starts to spin and all that,
Mm-hmm.
that might, that fear.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
And that's your response. That's just your body's doing what it knows what to do in order to save itself, even though it might not make much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, because I grew up with a severe anxiety disorder that developed panic disorder. And there's one time, it's irrational. And even in the moment, I knew it was crazy. So I'm going to go buy cookies at the store. So I'm 17. I get in the car. I'm driving 3 blocks to Albertsons. And I'm having a panic attack about buying cookies. And I remember going, this makes no sense at all. It's just cookies, Marshall. And I started laughing at myself. I'm like, this isn't, what's it going to do to me? Am I going to die buying cookies? And then this little voice came up in my head, this little awareness goes, but we're spending money and we don't have that much. And I'm like, oh. And then this little image of my parents when life was not lucrative, living off potatoes for 6 months. That's what came to my mind. Oh, I have a rational reason to have anxiety about spending money on cookies because of this past event. So I cleared that by laughing at it. Because I'm like, yeah, but we survived, but did you die? And then I went and bought my cookies. But there's going to be, those are some of the weirdest moments of awareness we get with our flight. It's like, I don't want to buy the cookies because we might die. Well, at least we'll die with cookies. But
wow.
The probability of it, no. And obviously, I didn't die. Right?
Right.
So I'm here, but yeah, sometimes it's going to be really irrational. I mean, cookies.
That makes total sense.
But it's calling back to something that happened in the past that wasn't resolved. So I got that done. Laughing, it might sound, some people interpret it as like, wow, that's really dismissive of your experience. But I'm trained in a release modality called the Sedona method. And it's a question-based.
What is that?
Yeah, it's a really good tool for emotional maintenance. And that's what I use it for. And as we go through the course, you'll actually get some of those tools through that. But one of the signals of release is laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nervous system isn't in a state of fright when it laughs. It's not on alert. It's relaxed. It's released it. And so I like scary movies. And so I'll laugh when after something's really intense, somebody like, I'm feeling the intensity, and they're like, oh, that was a nutty thing, whatever it was. But I'll laugh because it gets the body out of my freeze state, and it discharges that energy so it doesn't become stuck, because all trauma is stuck energy in the body.
Right.
So I'm laughing off that irrational thought about cookies killing me. It's cathartic. And that matters because it tells the brain we're safe. Yeah, it's not going to kill us. And one thing I like to teach people who have sensitivity to rejection is to laugh it off. And sometimes we have to really play with that depending on what kind of rejection we experienced. But as they break through on that, it really calms them. It changes their association to it, because now it doesn't matter. I didn't die. It wasn't actually that important because I can laugh at it. So,
wow.
So that's a little hint there. So if you find yourself laughing at things that used to be really scary to you, that's just an indicator of your healing. It's not an indicator that you're going crazy. So.
Well, I know that laughter does release endorphins.
Yep.
And to feel good, which is why I always, not always, but anyway, my ex-husband he laughed he had the strangest laugh. But anyway, everybody loved his laugh because it was just different.
Mm-hmm.
but it's what attracted me because he actually kind of helped me relearn to laugh because I was very serious.
Oh, yeah. The trauma makes us serious.
I didn't know how to have fun.
Right. You didn't know how to let go. You can't have fun. You can't have pleasure when you're trying to control everything.
Right, right.
Because play is spontaneous. It's free. And play is a messy and often destructive experience. Because we're out there just doing something and la, 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 la. But we don't care. I mean, we're not attached to this life or death thinking about it. So, yeah, I think you'll find yourself laughing more as you heal. And you're gonna have tears. You're definitely gonna have some anxiety. Normal. All of it's normal. The desire to run, normal.
I have one really kind of silly question to ask you, but I know nothing's really silly. I could feel these tears, like on the verge, but it was like they just wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
So I have a particular song that I've recorded off a television show, and it just helps me let it go. And I mean, is that?
That's okay. It gives you permission to let go. That's actually really caring. My daughter, when she was little, she always needed to have. She's big into fashion, but she always liked to, you know how kids like to carry things around with them. You got your safety blanket, for instance. You know, they got their safety blanket. My son, he had his safety toy, things like that. It gives them permission to feel safe enough to deal with the big feeling. That song is like that. It's giving you permission. It's giving you space to handle that feeling. So that's okay. I mean,
it's just like I just wouldn't let go. If
yeah,
there's something about music that just that can get into the emotions and shift me.
Yeah, use it. I often reveal some of my secrets. If I'm like really stressed or really disappointed, really sad, what I do, and this is how I handle a lot of stuff that went down in my childhood, is I would go and climb under the blankets, get really tight, like really wrapped up tight, and it's like a cocoon, and I'd let it go. And I still do that because that's how I handled my mother's death. That's how I handled the chaos that came after it. That was the only safe place I could express and emote anyway. And I was not alone in the aspect I was isolated. It was more like I was cocooned and it's safe here. And so you've just found a medium in which helps you have that space to do that. And that's okay. It's not abnormal. It's actually quite normal. There's I read a report yesterday because I follow a man named Mark Waldman, and he posted this report they found in neuroscience with trauma work. Yet by holding something soft, cradling it, kind of like this against your chest, creates a safe endorphin release so you can deal with the feelings coming up. And that's very similar to, physical contact that regulation creates. And so it's normal. We're just finding something that creates that sense of safety so that we can deal with the big scary thing we're feeling. Because feelings can be, we all know feelings can be really scary.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I used to, actually, I don't think I've ever done it here in my own home, but hiding in a closet, I mean, that years and years and years. Well, actually, I think I did when my ex walked out, but anyway, it was, I always felt safe to, to let my emotions go.
Yep. Yeah. That reminds me of this weird habit I have in the shower. I will put myself in the corner. So you got the shower coming down. I'll put myself in that corner right just behind the water, and it's instantly calming. I remember doing that as a kid all the time. And I don't really know why it's associated that way, but it feels just really, really just my own little space. I'm not being pulled out of it. I'm not being, I'm very sensitive to expectation energy. And so I always feel pulled by it. So like my home isn't my home. It's everybody else's expectation home. It's how it would feel. But in that little space, that's all mine. It's the same thing I'd experience in the cocoon.
That does make sense.
It does. And that's okay. We're just nurturing ourselves in the way that works for us. Mm-hmm. And everybody has it. Everybody has ways they nurture themselves, which is, different than medicating. Like medicating would be like I'm going to McDonald's or I'm going to go get an ice cream so I can medicate with food, because that ice cream was a medication for me for a while. But nurturing is like, let's feel comfortable. Let's make space for what's going on rather than avoiding it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, what you're doing makes total sense to me. Very normal.
Good. I was like, what on earth?
Yeah, it works. I use music a lot for the same thing. I think most people use music to trigger a feeling, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of movie scores, and there's the movie Aliens has a lot of sentimental value to me because it gave me a model of how to get through very dark times facing very scary creatures. Mm-hmm. And there's a piece of music in that called Bishop's Countdown. And when I'm really, really feeling it, like really scared, dealing with something that's scaring me or something, I'll put that on. Because in the movie, it's Ripley and Newt are on this platform, and the alien queen is coming up the elevator. There's nowhere to go. Everything's blowing up. I mean, death is imminent. It's over. And then Bishop, that's one of the other characters, comes up with this ship and saves them. But they had to deal with all of this going on around them anyway. So it's one of those acts of courage in my mind. Like I've got less than a minute before this place blows up. Let's just do it. Because a lot of times my life has felt that way. It's like, well, it's falling apart. It's burning apart. Let's just keep going. And so that music puts me in that state of, yeah, I'm going to do this too. So we use what empowers you. And it's okay. You're really normal. And that's one thing.
The music, for me, it's the words too. The words are
sometimes they're the most important part in the moment.
Super powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
The song I have taped isn't even, I want to find it because I can't keep it recorded on my TV forever.
Right. Got on the TiVo.
It's Nashville, that show Nashville.
Okay, yeah.
And the guy goes back to his hometown, and I guess the grandma or aunt or somebody raised him, and she treated him real bad. And he's singing this song to her because he made it. He became a singer.
Right.
And it's someday I'll leave for the bright light. Someday I'll soar high above. Someday I'll know what it feels like to hold on to someone you love.
Oh, yeah.
Someday I'm going to find home is basically what
those are huge things.
Yeah, that's me. Someday I'm going to, and the home isn't out there. The home is in here.
Right. It's in the heart. Returning home back to ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've been lost in the wilderness because of somebody else chasing their it's almost like chasing a ghost in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's like chasing a shadow.
Yeah. Yeah. My mind is a little weird. Did you ever watch the movie oh, come back. It's the one with Will Ferrell, and he's a TV broadcaster.
Yes.
Yeah. And he has that co-host Brick, It was played by
The
Steve
Anchor, yeah,
Carell. Yeah, the Anchorman. Yeah, and
yeah.
and and they're in the they're talking about scary things, and Brooke's like, there's a black man that follows me around. He goes away when the sun goes down, and Anchorman's he's like, I think that's your shadow, Brooke. Like, that reminded me of that. It's just very strange.
Yes.
It is chasing a shadow, and
Yeah.
all in hopes that we would get love.
Right. Right.
Now we get to have it. And it's a little scary, but it's going to work.
Yes.
Because love is a funny thing. And this, you'll get more into this as you go through the course, but I want to point it out here because it's something to chew on a little bit. We sometimes, well, all the time, well, I'd say most of the time, we've made love dangerous in our minds. Love is dangerous.
Yes.
Rather than that person is dangerous.
Right.
We blamed love rather than the individual we were in love with.
Right.
And so there's a separation that will begin as you get through the course, where you realize that love was never, ever the problem. It was
Right.
the person. And because it's that, we can actually reliably choose safe people, because love is safe. Love is not painful, and love is always safe. The only thing that we've got to focus on is choosing those safe people. And then love becomes safe to receive and safe to give, safe to contribute. So, yeah, watch out for that, because that's coming.
Okay.
But, yeah. So, you have anything else you want to shoot at?
That's about it right now. There's just a lot that's been happening.
Oh, yeah. You've been busy, and you've been kicking butt with it. So, yeah, be proud of yourself, praise yourself, appreciate your effort. These are, it's a big deal. These are scary, difficult, and rewarding things, because you're doing it. So, proud of you, though. Keep it up. Yeah, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay. So I will contact you when we're done here. We can determine a time we can get together and get you the rest of the next downloads for the course, so they're available for you.
Okay.
And I've got that down here in the notes. So, great.
Oh, that sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So, and that actually concludes our live mentoring hours for today too. So it'll be next one will be on Tuesday, 4 to 6. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. The 8th. Yep, 4 to 6. So, and that's
Okay.
Mountain Daylight Savings Time. So that'd be 5 to 7 your time. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Lori. You have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, and that concludes our live hours for today. And I will see you guys soon.